Ladies in red. Ladies in red. Ladies in red. Discuss the latest news, just fans giving their views. This channel is red. They see the bar and raise it, plus they rep for the ladies. Trust it's red. See my voices in football. Red. If you want to talk up, it's a red channel for me and you. Subscribe and tune into the Ladies in Red.
Hi guys, welcome back to Ladies in Red. We're back with another show, another preview show just before the game today against Watford. I'm joined by Nat and the lovely Mais, because Mais is on the audio today. She's in the car, she's travelling, bless her, so she's joining us. Appreciate, as always, the dedication from the guys joining the channel. I'll start with you, Nat. How are you feeling going into this game today?
Yeah, I'm confident. Confident but nervous. I think that's the way it's sort of always been. I think everyone knows last time we played Watford, it should be 3 points, but we know they're going to be up for it. We know they've been fighting, picking up points where probably you least expect it. You know, they're down at the bottom. It's this kind of point for every team, isn't it? You know, where it's going to be make or break. So they're fighting for their survival, and obviously we're fighting for Champions League, and we should have enough. It's just about, I suppose, I saw a few of Ralph's comments, you know, being aggressive, doing this is how we need to play. And towards the end of the Atletico, we started to play like that, but we need to be like that all the time now. You know, 90 minutes, aggressive, front foot kind of football.
Yeah, that's what we want to see. We want to be entertained ultimately as a fan. You know what I mean? We want to be entertained. Curtis says, on current form, this has draw all over it, but I'm sick of the stress and worry every game United have this season. Time the team go back to the fans and nail Watford today. Fingers crossed. We want to see that aggressive football. We want to see that attacking football, don't we? Mais, I know you're in the car, but how are you feeling about this game today and how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I hope you're well too, Soph. I hope you're well as well, Natalie. For this game coming ahead, this is the game where we should be securing 3 points out of all the games what we've got coming up, because we've got City next weekend, we've got Tottenham, we've got Liverpool, and we've got Atletico all in 1 month. So this game, it should be the game where we need to put them 3 points out. I think we need to come in quite energised. I think we need to try and at least finish the game off in the first half, if that is scoring them 2 goals, because just as Nat has touched on, Watford are going to be up for it because the last win was actually against us. They've only had 2 wins all season, so they'll probably want to take that advantage and try and do the double over us this season. I think there will be some rotations into the squad, because I think, like, for instance, the likes of Sancho, he is going to be needed for the whole of March. So we need to put some kind of rotations in place just so we can keep our priority players fully fit for the next month.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. The rotation, as you mentioned, a lot of fixtures, and not only a lot of fixtures, but a lot of tough fixtures as well, Nat, in there. Obviously, you mentioned City next week, Atletico the second leg as well. It's all to play for still in that. If you're Ralph going into this game, do you think Watford is a game where we can afford to rest players? Bear in mind what they did to us first game round. I don't really want to touch on it too much because I'm still meant to discard from that. But obviously they battered us first time round. Mr. Austin said here, if we don't get revenge today, expect epic proportions of banter. Of course. Surely today is about getting revenge, isn't it? I think rotation-wise, I don't know about you, Nat, but I would rotate both fullbacks today. I would start Delo and Telles. I thought when Telles came on in the week, it looked really good. That's where I would be looking at the main rotation. What about you, Nat? If you're Ralph, how would you approach this one?
Yeah, you know, Delo, Telles. I think even like he might play or start Elanga, play. I know people might not want to, you know, but play Lingard, because I think he has done all right in the last few games. We know that. I know people don't like him as much, but, you know, we know that Scotty's not fit, because that could have been a rotation there if he had come back and was ready. Matic maybe starts. But no matter who rotates in or whatever, we should still have enough. You know, it should be enough to beat Watford. And like you say, I don't think it's the plate. Like, I don't think it's necessarily, oh, this one or that one. I think if you're coming in and you're rotated in, you should be providing that energy 110%, even more so, because you're wanting to get that place and make it your own and show that you should be starting week in, week out. So
yeah,
that's sort of the issue, isn't it? It's not a case of, oh, this one, that one. You know, Sancho has been one of our better players in the last few months, but he should be able to get his rest, and we should be able to win, and the person coming in for him should be up at the same standard kind of thing, no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, is bringing people in and them not probably bringing the same energy that the other players have.
Yeah.
So that's my only concern with the rotations, if they come in and are not at the level.
Yeah. For me, my mindset is always, and I know it's not always available to do it, but I'd always start with my stronger team. I think Maisie touched on it. If you get a few early goals, see the game to bed, and then second half, rest these players. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I would always approach it. But of course, if players are fatigued, then you've got more chance of picking up injuries in that if you're starting with the strongest. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one. The team will be announced at 2:00, and we will be live to go through that with you guys as well. We will give our predictive lineups as well very shortly. But the interesting one that you mentioned there as well is Elanga. I would start him over Rashford. Rashford at the moment, we know we've said it for a while, he just isn't there. He isn't there for whatever reason, whether it's confidence, whether it's lasting from his injury, whether it's mentally from the Euros and what happened with him missing a penalty, maybe that affected him. I think it's a combination, but for whatever reason, surely Elanga, Mays, I'll start with you on this one, but do you think he deserves to start over Rashford today? Would you drop Rashford?
Personally, yes, I would drop Rashford. I do believe that Elanga is doing absolutely brilliant. I did say that Rashford should start over Elanga in the Atletico Madrid game, and the reason for that is that Elanga hasn't really had Champions League football. Coming into knockout Champions League football is completely different kettle of fish, especially knowing that he hasn't really played that knockout football. He's only had one Champions League game. So that's the reason why I would have picked Rashford for the Atletico. But knowing that Rashford isn't on form, Elanga is on form, he scored in his last two games, both goals, coming off the bench. We need that kind of player who's hungry to come on to try and get that goal. And he's very quick on the wings as well. So him and Sancho or him and Lingard, whoever does decide to play as them wing players, we need to have strong link-up play to try and get a goal or even to assist Cristiano Ronaldo. Because even Ronaldo, he's been playing a lot of games because Edinson Cavani is still out.
Yeah. And Cavani, that's a good point, actually. We'll talk about Cavani. I love the guy. And obviously we're all screaming that we wanted to keep him, want him to stay. There's rumours of him going to Barcelona in January and whatnot. He spoke and he said he wanted to stay. But seeing it now, just imagine if we didn't sign Ronaldo, Nat, with the whole Greenwood situation as well, we'd literally be struggling for a centre forward. So what's your thoughts on the whole Cavani? Are you frustrated with it as well? Because it seems he's just picking and choosing when he's playing at the minute. And of course, it may be genuine, but he's not reliable, is he?
No. And in a way now, I mean, I think we're all like, oh, Cavani, want you to stay, and he did so well last year, but then he's just sort of, I don't know, maybe since Ronaldo's coming, but even at the start, he wasn't really ready, was he? Yeah. So even, back then, it's like his nose had been put out of joint. Ronaldo's come, and he does when he does play and he's on it, he does actually well, but then he just seems to just giving up now. And there's talk that he's chatting to this team, that team, teams in South America now. Fair enough, yeah, he is leaving. You do need to sort out your future early and stuff, but for him to just, I don't know, I'm not saying it's not genuine, but you do hear rumours like, someone clears him to be fit and then he says no, and obviously he knows his own body, he's older now, but it just is frustrating that he's not fit and not ready.
It's frustrating how good of a finisher he is as well. You've seen the amount of chances we've been getting in games, you remember being taken them, and you're thinking, Cavani would have taken that. Do you know what I mean? And to not have him there, to have a player like that in your ranks and not be able to use him, it's so frustrating. It does seem more and more, like you say, he's given up. He's obviously heading away from United, and I think his mind is already elsewhere. That's how it feels, isn't it, from the outside? And I'm sure he's a great guy and whatnot, but it's just not what we need right now. We need consistency. We need that strength and depth, especially with the running games we've got going, especially the fact we've got a 37-year-old Ronaldo leading the line who simply can't play every single minute. It's frustrating. Maze, what's your thoughts on the whole Cavani situation? Are you frustrated with it as well?
Yeah, I am really frustrated in terms of Edinson Cavani, but under the same breath, he is 34 now, so we can't rely on Edinson Cavani every week, just like we can't really rely on Cristiano Ronaldo every week. We should have, ideally, this is pull from the board, that we should have gone for more of a younger kind of striker, and that's no fault of Ralph, it's no fault of Edinson Cavani, it's more fault for the board for not looking at them kind of options, in my opinion.
Yeah, Yeah, I think it's a good point. And I think with Cavani, like I say, the goals that he can bring to this side, that's the most infuriating thing. Obviously, we know about his energy and whatnot, but ideally we need goals. And to have a weapon like that, and it's just so frustrating, isn't it? It's so frustrating. Someone just said there, apparently towards his end of time at PSG as well, he was very similar in that sense. He wasn't very available. It's just hard, isn't it? Especially like obviously we had 2 amazing chances for him. The crowd absolutely love him. The fans adore him. I mean, just also gutted that obviously it's just not worked out the way we planned when he was extended his stay here. We thought we'd get a lot more in return, let's say. It's frustrating. Eagle Eye has said, do we think Rashford will regather his form or does he need a change of scenery? I've been asked this a few times, to be fair. Would I sell Rashford? I'll be totally honest, I wouldn't sell him. I think you don't turn a bad player overnight. I think a lot of people have a short memory of what Rashford did bring to us. I do think we need to kind of stand by him. I don't think he should be starting every game. He should be dropped. I'm not disputing that. But would I sell him? No. I still think there's a player in there. I think we need to stand by him and hopefully he can get through whatever it is that's affecting him. He can get through it. And I think we need to be a bit patient. But I wouldn't sell him just yet, Nat. What's your thoughts on Rashford? Would you sell him?
Not a chance. Not a chance. I would not sell Rashford. I just think, like what you say, short memories. He's not a bad player. I think a lot of it probably is to do with what happened at the Euros, the end of our season, and then going into that, and then being injured, coming off. There's talk of personal life, but I just think, like you say, we're short memories. We need to remember in a way that the human beings as well, and all that kind of stuff that's happened has probably taken a lot out of him, and even sort of what's still going on at our club probably is taken out of him. He's Man United through and through as well. So I just think, for me, it's whether he's playing well or not, he is one of our own. So for me, I wouldn't just look to sell him straight away. I just think, give him time, let him regain his form. He will regain his form. He's not, throwing his toys out looking to leave. For me, I just think this is where clubs need to stand by players. And, I think, he could have left us. He didn't, so.
Yeah, and I think we already mentioned about Greenwood going, the fact that Cavani obviously isn't available much. We're already short. Even though we're signed an attacker with Sancho, we're already short on attacking options, if you like. So I wouldn't sell Rashford, definitely not. Like I say, I'm not saying he's lit the world up. I'm not saying he's been playing good enough because he hasn't, far from it. But I just feel like as a club and as fans, we need to stand by him at the moment. It's obvious that he's going through a tough phase. I remember when he was carrying us at the start of last season with his goals, and the people forget the form that he was showing at that point before, obviously, his injury and whatnot. Look, there comes to a point where you can't just sit around and take it forever. Of course, there has to be a time limit, but I just think that Rashford has earned that bit of time, really, from us fans to support him, from the club to support him and see what happens. But like I say, for me, he shouldn't be starting every game. Like, he doesn't get a bypass in that sense. He hasn't been good enough. But I just think we need to be a bit more patient with him in that sense. Centre-backs then. Let's have a talk about who would you start as a partnership today. Lindelof started at right back, obviously, in midweek, which, to be fair, Ralph tried it, but in my opinion, it didn't really work. But I see Varane and Maguire starting today. That's my prediction for the centre-backs. A lot of people are saying Maguire should not be starting, but for me, he's captain and he does start. I'm thinking from Ralph's point of view, I think he will start him. Mais, I'll start with you on this one. Who would you start as centre-backs today?
If I was obviously going to go for my personal option, I would obviously go for Varane and Lindelof. Lindelof has improved so much in this past season. I think because the team is doing so bad, I just don't think a lot of people have truly recognised that. Because if we look at last season, Lindelof was poor with his heading, he was weak on his one-on-ones, and he's improved in that so much. And I think Varane even looks a lot more comfortable alongside Varane alongside Lindelof, in my opinion. But if I was obviously going to go with what Ralph has said in his conferences in terms of Maguire, I think Maguire will be there. And you do look at it with what Ralph has said about the captaincy, about Harry Maguire. If he dropped Harry Maguire, that will just raise a lot more publicity, what is unnecessary for Manchester United at the moment, to say why you've dropped your captain. And that alone, dropping your captain, that does raise news publicity for Manchester United, and that is the last thing what we really need right now.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think my preferred would be Lindelof and Varane, but I just think Ralph will stand by Maguire and they'll put him in there. Nat, do you agree with that, or do you think it'd be a different partnership?
No, I agree with what Macy's just said. With looking at all the talk in the papers and all this kind of thing, and actually it's starting to, well, it's never probably going to die down, but it's starting to sort of quieten now. And I just think if he dropped Maguire, which to be fair, he probably wouldn't even be dropping him. It might even be rotating him. You know, we've had a lot of games. We've got a lot of big games coming up. So even if he did play, say, Varane and Lindelof, and then went back to Maguire in like for the derby, it would just, you know, just to say rest him or something, you know, rotate rather than dropping. It would then cause this whole media storm, which I don't think we need, to be honest, at the minute. I know people are saying he's not been that great, Maguire. He's been hit and miss, I think. Sometimes I see him and I think, oh, that's really good. Oh, you know, he cleared the ball. He's got a goal. Positive things. Then you see like one mistake and it's all the positive that we've seen before is sort of gone. So I think even though we were bad versus Atletico, I do think, I don't know, I won't put it all down on his toes, that, you know, poor defending. I think it was just as a unit we were poor in a way.
It doesn't help, though, does it? Like rotating the unit every week. Like say, Lindelof gone to right back. Varane mentioned having different partners. Seems more comfortable with Lindelof, but it seems to be Maguire who plays. Or Varane's had an injury, and then it's been Lindelof and Maguire in there. Even Boy's had the odd game. Do you know what I mean? Like I think the best teams have a consistent back line, and we haven't had that. We've rotated our fullbacks quite regularly as well. Ralph's still trying to work which one is his best combination. Understandably, to be fair. Someone just asked a good question, actually. Thoughts on Ralph's performance so far as our manager? Mais, would you summarise his time so far? Obviously, he is an interim, and I think we have to take that into account, don't we? But have you been impressed with his start at United?
Yeah, he's been good, but I wouldn't say mind-blowing, if you want my personal opinion. He's only had 2 losses, if you want to count the Middlesbrough game and the Wolves game. So apart from that, he's had wins and draws. But I just feel like still there is a lot of improvement what needs to be made from Manchester United. It's not going to happen overnight, and Ralph isn't going to fix all them problems because it's going to take many seasons to resolve that. But we need to look at the short term at this moment in time, and what Ralph is doing is bringing in through a couple of the youth players that were hungry, such as Elanga, which is working. He's using our best players of Varane. He's brought the best out of Sancho. So if you do look at points like that, you do say, yes, it is an improvement, but we're still not clinical enough in going forward. We're still conceding roughly around 1 goal a game. So it isn't truly mind-blowing, but there is improvements there, but we need to keep on improving to try and get that top 4 by the end of the season, because not just us, Arsenal's in that race, Tottenham's in that race, West Ham's in that race, and we need to try and get that one step half in front of them.
Yeah, and Arsenal get a big win obviously at Wolves the other day as well, against Wolves the other day. Really, it's a must-win today for us. Facts, it's a must-win for us with the run of games that we've got coming up as well. Like we have got a very tough test ahead of us. Do not get me wrong, but as we've already said, the quality of our players, we can do it. We can do it. We just need to go on a run, and hopefully we continue that run today. Is it 3-3 then if we win today as well? I love the video says I love Ralph's interviews. He's very honest and he's exposing the club in a sort of way, and he's taking digs at the players' attitudes like on Wednesday. Curlis says. Ralph has taken a gamble, but in general, he's been about 6 out of 10 for me, working with the same crap Ollie had. I agree with that. My overall of Ralph is that he needs to get Rangnick in as his number 2. What's your thoughts on Ralph? Rangnick, I like that. What's your thoughts on Ralph, Nat?
Yeah, I think he's been okay. You know, I just think what we have when we get managers in, you know, we always get this sort of bounce. We always get sort of, I think when Ollie sort of came in after Jose, it was. You know, we're in dreamland, and I think probably that hasn't happened with Ralph. So a lot of people are not upset, but like they're just sort of a bit like, oh, you know, he's no good as well. I think we need to get past that and look at it sort of long-term-ish. I'm sort of with Am the Villa. He is sort of honest, very honest, and saying things about the players, you know. And I think, yeah, the players won't like the manager coming out and speaking about them, but I think they need it in a way because it's showing. And then now they're sort of briefing back. People don't like it, so it's sort of like what I love. It's sort of exposed in a way, sort of the attitudes in the camp. But I think I was reading something on Twitter, and it sort of said about, you know, how he has improved, not majorly, but there has been you know, we're seeing more style now. I think sort of earlier on we didn't really have one, but we're seeing more.
I was going to say, what could he improve though? Because obviously in the January transfer window, he wasn't given back into to sign players because it was the idea that he's a short-term manager. So Ralph's only working. Someone said it there with the same crap that Ollie was working with. Like Ralph's having to work with what he's given. Do you know what I mean? He hasn't been able to make this team his own, if you like. He's trying to find the best solution in terms of the lineup. But ultimately, for me, he's doing this job with one hand tied behind his back because he's limited, isn't he, Nat?
But that's what a lot of our managers have been doing. For me, in my opinion, that certain managers want to bring in these styles of play, and then when we get a new manager, it's a totally different style. I think if they get in someone now, whoever comes in after Ralph, that's the big thing. So if he has an influence on that, whether we get Champions League or not is what it is, but, sets us up for this new manager. And then for me, I think they need to have the full backing, the full kind of support. And maybe with Ralph going a bit above, that's gonna help that, because Ralph's main job is the whole, I don't even know what it is, consultant kind of thing. That's his sort of job. That's what he signed up for 2 years.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think Ralph, he's come in and done what he can do. But like you say, he can't majorly change it. I just hope that this new manager, when they come in, they're given, I'd say even minimum 3 years. Minimum 3 years to actually see what they're going to do. If we just sort of say, boom, you're out within 2, that's where the problems start.
Yeah. I also think as well with Ralph, it's kind of felt worse for a little bit since he's come in, post Ollie. Not that I'm not begrudging him for that. It's because he had no loyalty to these players. He's calling these players out. He's making them train later. He's making them put the work in because they've had it easy for years now. Do you know what I mean? And I think Ralph's coming in, he's trying to restore these expectations and whatnot. And as you'd expect, a lot of these big ego players don't like that. I'm not naming names because I don't know. I'm not there. I'm just going off reports and what we're hearing. And the vibes coming out of the club, as we said, have been very negative. I'm not blaming Ralph for that. I think he's come in and he's putting his foot down. And I think these players have needed that. And I think it was always going to take a dip for the worse before it got better again. It's one of them, isn't it? But I am hoping now that we are on the way back up. But I do still feel we need that breath of fresh air. We still need quality players brought in. I'm not saying we haven't got quality, but when you look at the players you could possibly be leaving in the summer, it is a rebuild again. And we keep saying the word rebuild, but this is ultimately a rebuild. If all the players go who we expect to go in the summer, there's big changes ahead. There's big changes ahead, and it almost feels like a perfect time to get rid of a lot of players and a fresh manager come in and almost have a clean slate to work with. That's the ideal situation, isn't it? In terms of the manager, we always say Ten Hag is the one that we want, but it's looking more and more likely that it is going to be Pochettino. Mais, would you be happy with Poch coming in as our manager?
If you want me to be honest, no. I personally wouldn't go for Poch just for the reasons that a lot of people claim they don't want a yes man. They say Ralph is a yes man. They say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a yes man. But why would you want to bring in Poch, who has also been seen as a yes man in terms of PSG? I know that is a horrible environment to work in, but he's also been seen as a yes man in terms of Spurs. He went 2 transfer windows without strengthening, and that is not good for the club because we need to strengthen the squad. I wanted to actually touch on a bit from Natalie's point as well in terms of the squad, because I actually thought it was absolutely mind-blowing because what I was thinking of yesterday from a stream what I did was that look at Ralph's squad at the moment with it's actually so imbalanced. They've got some Sir Alex Ferguson players, they've got a David Moyes player, they have got Louis van Gaal players, they've got Jose Mourinho players, they've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer players, all different philosophies, all different styles to play, because we all know Van Gaal and we all knew Jose Mourinho was more of a defensive type of manager, whereas Ole was more of an attacking type of manager. So that is going to be completely different for players to adapt to different philosophies, and knowing Ralph too has a completely different philosophy to the rest of them with his Jenna pressing, it is going to be massive. It's going to be hard, and the transfer window in itself, we couldn't exactly back a manager who's only going to be there for 6 months. And I think that maybe in that case, the board probably done the right thing by doing that clear out. Probably not as big as what I should have said in terms of getting rid of Donny, getting rid of Martial, because there is so many different players who's gone out on loan, including Ahmad too, and we have left very short, only one per position now. I don't even think Bruno has anyone to compete in his position, because there's nobody there to compete with Bruno, and you want that little bit of competition in the squad to say, right, this player shouldn't feel comfortable there. You want to have that, how can I say, a player to feel like they've got to keep on the toes and they've got to have them best performances. So I think in terms of the transfer window, it was absolutely right. But in terms of Poch, no, I really couldn't do it. And we need a manager, like I would say Ten Hag, who could build the team and he can take the team the next step forward. He's done it twice at Ajax. So we know he can do that.
Yeah. There's a lot of concerns about Poch. Obviously, he has managed in the Prem. I do think he did a good job at Spurs. With what he's working with, getting to the Champions League. Look, I'll back whoever is manager, of course, and I've said that from the off. I got a lot of stick for backing Solskjaer. I will back whoever's in charge until the last, because at the end of the day, I feel like these players deserve some accountability for the performances that have been happening, as well as the manager. And that's always my belief. But Pochettino, I have my own reservations as well, and I'll talk about that. But now I'll let you make your point first.
Yeah, just about Poch and him being a yes man and people not wanting a yes man. But I look at someone like Conte and what he said the other night against Burnley and saying, you know, maybe I'm more ambitious than the club and this club. And I was thinking, he would never be Man United manager. Even though I think in my heart, I think, oh, someone like that would be good. They do need this. The club do need sort of telling. But they had that sort of in Jose. And whether you think about Jose's off the pitch or on the pitch, whatever he played, he did come out and say, listen, this is what I want to see. I want to see that. They knocked back me and said all these things and said I was coming to Man United and I thought it was a big club and all that kind of stuff. And so people sort of going, oh, yes, man, yes, man. They're going to always employ someone like that. I think Ten Hag, he won't go as far as like your Jose, your Conte kind of things. But, you know, if people think Ralph's a yes man, in my opinion, I don't think he's a yes man. I think, yeah, he might say positive things about the club, but that's his job. He's going to say positive things about the club. He might not always be happy, but I don't think he'll be saying, like, behind the scenes what he's saying to people. I don't think it's going to be positive. You get what I mean? If he's not happy, that's what you need. You need someone who's not just going to say yes all the time. You need someone who's going to challenge them behind the scenes. And I think potentially he is doing that, Ralph. We know he's doing it with the players because that's why you're seeing a lot of people briefing against him. So,
yeah,
you know, when they're saying, oh, this one's a yes man, this one's a yes man, think about it. The club are always going to employ someone who looks like a yes man on the outside. It's just, I suppose, what they've done at other clubs. I'm not saying Poch isn't a yes man. I don't know. That's, you know, obviously people got their reasons for that. But, you know, I think we want a manager that's like this, that's going to do that. That's, you know, for me, I think it's bigger than that. You know, we need whoever that's thinking about bringing in, I suppose, this deputy director of football. Those are the kind of people. The fact that Ralph's stepping up, is he going to challenge sort of higher up? These are the kind of things. Because I think even if a manager sits there and says, this is wrong, that's wrong, it's only going to end one way for them, you know?
Yeah. And I think interesting one as well, you need to think like who's going to work best under Ralph as well. You mentioned Ralph's in that consultancy. You'd think Poch is probably more suited to that. Ten Hag, obviously, is very practical, very hands-on. Like as Maisie said, he likes to build these teams. You've already mentioned the board and what they're going to want. They're going to want someone who's going to slot right in, who's going to, like you say yes, basically. And Pochettino does seem to fit the bill in that sense, doesn't he? Andrew here's a good point. He said, I happen to like Pochettino, and I worry whether the job required may be too big for Ten Hag. I just think that players like Ronaldo and Pogba, both may not be there. Good point. We'll walk over him. I think with Ten Hag, it's a point now where obviously he's done so well at Ajax and he's developing and he's progressing. Maybe he's at that point now where he needs to take that next step. Go to, and I'm not disrespecting Ajax when I say a bigger club, because obviously Ajax are quality and I love watching Ajax play. I think they're superb. And if it's not also, I'd love Ajax to win the Champions League this season. I'm just going to put that out there because I think it'd be a great story. But I think maybe for him, it's the next step up now. Do you know what I mean? And are United the right team for that? Or would it maybe when Pep leaves City, is Ten Hag thinking I'm more suited to there? Because a lot of people think he'd be more suited to City. And I'm just thinking I'd rather to get Ten Hag now than miss it and see him go to City. Do you know what I mean? Because we've seen that happen
as well. So we'll look at. I'm not saying that Dortmund are a small club, but I think they're bigger than Ajax. Well, it's about the set, but you know, look how Klopp went on to Liverpool. You know, it's sort of in that mould. You could maybe say, you know, because he did all he could do at Dortmund, took him to the final, and then needed that. Well, people might say, oh, you know, wherever Liverpool were, but they needed something to do that. And now look at what he's doing in Liverpool. You know, he's winning leagues and winning Champions Leagues with them, and you know they've got the capacity, I suppose, beyond Dortmund to properly back him to do it right, and he has done it right. So yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Sorry if I cut you up.
No, it's cool. The team news has just come out, so I'm just reacting to that. I am still listening, don't worry. So we've got the hiring goal, Wan-Bissaka at right back. This is very interesting. Very interesting. We're all saying Maguire's going to start. Maguire is not starting. We've got Lindelof and Varane at centre backs. We've got Tellez at left back. We've got Matic in there with Pogba, it looks. Bruno just ahead of them. Then we've got Elanga. I'm trying to work this out. Elanga. Ronaldo. Yeah. Oh, Fred's in there as well, so Pogba might be playing off the left then. So you've got Fred, Pogba, Bruno, Pogba off the left, Ronaldo, and then Elanga maybe. That's the way that I'm reading into that now. I will put it across the screen in a minute as well so you guys can see it, but it looks like Maguire has been dropped. So immediate reaction to that, Nat, I'll start with you. What's your thoughts on that? We said we'd rather see Lindelof and Varane. We're seeing that. And Matic.
Well, yeah, I said Matic as well. And we said Elanga.
Nat, I want the lottery numbers off you.
Yeah, no, I'm not that good. I'm not that good. But, you know, it is what it is. I did think that you know, I was with Maisie. I did think that it would be, you know, the furore that would come with it. But I suppose, let's see, because I said, you know, he might rotate him for this and then play him for the derby. So people might be, oh, yeah, no, this is the best, but then he might come back in for the derby. So, you know, it is what it is. That team should beat Watford. That's all I can say, because looking at it, you know, Ronaldo, Elanga, that's what we wanted to see. I'm trying to even look who else. Oh, yeah.
Midfield as well.
Yeah.
So everyone can see it as well in the chat in a second. Yeah, so we've got De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Lindelof, Tellez, Fred, Pogba, Bruno, Elanga. It looks like Pogba's going to be out on that left, which, you know what? I don't mind. Go on, that.
And it looks like, as well, I know a lot of people, Ronaldo captain, he's diluted a bit of that and given Bruno the captaincy. And I think, to be honest, Bruno is the captain in a way, the second sort of vice captain more for me, in my opinion, just because, not to say that Ronaldo shouldn't have it. I think Ronaldo's great, but if you imagine if you'd given it to Ronaldo, the stories then, he sucked his captain and all that. So I think, if anything, just sticking it to like who's been here longer, etc., you know, I think that's right as well.
Yeah, mixed reviews in the chat about the team, but first I'll hear Maisie's views on it. Maguire has been dropped, if you like. How are you feeling about that lineup? It is on the screen there for people to see as well.
I was looking at the formation. We're going to a 4-2-3-1 formation. I'm happy that Tellez is starting, because Tellez does need a run of games just so he can actually have the best of forms. I do trust Tellez the most in corners, free kicks, set pieces. So I'm glad he is there, and he could potentially help us in terms of a goal or so, if it's not going to be a corner or a free kick.
Yeah.
I'm happy that Lindelof is there alongside Varane. Popper on the left is pretty interesting. We're not seeing that since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Elanga on the right, I'm happy Elanga started. Matic was an interesting one for me, because with Matic, we haven't really seen him start either under Ralph. The last time I seen Fred and Matic together, though, it was at 1-1 draw against Southampton, but Fred has improved massively since that point. Matic is brilliant with his long through balls, what I've seen in the Atletico Madrid game. So I think it was a very smart formation. Very smart lineup, and we still got threats on the bench of Sancho. We still got Rashford, who is a better as an impactful sub. Dalot, who could come on if it's needed as well. So we do have threats there on the bench. And looking at Watford, they've gone with that 4-3-3. They've got a couple of players back there too. So biggest threats for me probably Josh King and Sarr. But apart from that, there's nothing there what would alarm me about this Watford squad. And we should really get this 3 points. I would be disappointed if we didn't.
Yeah, I'm just editing it because I put Pogba twice in the team there. Good old Pogba. Is that good? Yeah. It's like he's there twice. That's how good he is. So we're going to amend that very quickly. But yeah, I'm happy with that lineup. I'm happy. I said to you now off camera, and it might come back to bite me, but I felt fairly confident today, which is as opposed to how I normally feel, because normally I'm just like a nervous wreck before the match. I don't really know what to expect. But today I don't feel that way now.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think we've actually had good, and you know, the result in Spain was good. Let's say that. So I think we've had actually a good build up. You know, good sort of games going into it. So I do feel that kind of confidence. And I've seen people saying that this is the best lineup they've seen from Ralph. So yeah. You know, we should beat him no matter what. I'm with Maisie 100%. It should be 3 points. There's no excuses enough, to be honest. You look at that front three behind Ronaldo. That's goals for me. If not, there's serious questions about them. But I'm excited for Elanga. I think Elanga's going to be up for it, and then I think that's going to encourage the rest of them.
It's sensible.
It's sensible. Yeah, because we've got games coming up fast.
Yeah, like they're definitely one eye on the derby, 100%. And you can't blame him for that. Be interested to see how long Ronaldo plays for as well. I'd like to think that if you get a few goals, get the game done and dusted, then Ronaldo might be rested another one as well. In terms of the bench, we've got Sancho on there, and we've got Mata on there, we've got Phil Jones on there. All the players that you'd expect to be on the bench. Rashford's on there as well are there. Obviously, McTominay isn't. So it'll be interesting to see what does happen in terms of subs and when Ralph will make them. But it is a case, surely, if we can get this game done and dusted as soon as possible, we can then chillax a bit and rest a few players, obviously, with the games that we've got coming up as well. I am going to ask you to your score predictions very, very shortly, and everyone in the chat get your score predictions in as well for this one. But before we do get into that, of course, there is a massive women's game tomorrow as well, and we need to talk about that. I didn't forget about it, girls. I didn't forget about it. We're going to talk about, obviously, a derby, a big one. Nat, I'll start with you. How are you feeling against City tomorrow for United? FA Cup. Is the win there
Another
for us?
City game. Another City game. Yeah. I think we're going to be up for it a lot more. I mean, I'm disappointed that what happened in the last game. I think it was definitely shouldn't have lost. But I think they're going to be up for it. I think everyone's in the mood now where it's got to win all these games. And we win this through to the quarters, then it's sort of anyone's sort of tie. There's a lot of National League teams in there. There's a Championship team, so I think there's 2 Championship teams, so they could get through, and then we could get like a team like that. Then you're in the semis, final, these kind of things, and I think that's only going to boost the girls. So I'm excited. I'm confident, and I think both teams going to win this weekend. Hopefully, don't jinx it.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Mais, I know you're also going to the game tomorrow, the derby game. How are you feeling about that one for the ladies?
It's going to be an exciting game. We have played. This will be the 4th time actually meeting Manchester City, 3 times being at home. So it's going to be an interesting game. I think Matt Skinner, especially knowing that there has been international break, he does need to put on a strong lineup. I think we need to come out, play for the win. I think we need to do it how we played in that Conti Cup, where we got that 2-1 win. If we play play exactly how we did there, it doesn't matter about how many goals we get. It's a matter of if we get them 3 points, and them 3 points could be the 3 points what could cost us the Champions League. So we need to go out for the rest of the games now, because there isn't that many games left really in the WSL. So we need to go out every single game now, because apart from Man City and Chelsea, the rest of them should be winnable games. So we need to go out all we can and try and get these 3 points. And I am confident with the squad we've got, especially the squad has improved so much. You can tell they are back in masking as well. So I think we need to go out all we can. And hopefully we get them 3 points. My fingers are crossed, of course.
Of course, that would be nice, definitely. I think the ladies should definitely take confidence from the previous performances against City. I think last game we were unlucky, to be fair. Like we said today about the men's and Watford, maybe we should be looking at getting our own revenge as well tomorrow. It's in the FA Cup as well, which is competition, obviously, that you shouldn't need getting up for, to be fair. A derby game. Yeah, I'm feeling quietly confident, I'd say, for the game tomorrow against City. I really am. Fingers crossed. Like you say, we get the 3 points. We don't want to jinx them too much. But yeah, big up to the ladies. I think they've had a great season, especially last few months. Skinner, I think, has really started to turn it around, hasn't he? So hopefully we can continue that upward spiral and get a positive result tomorrow against City in the FA Cup. And like you say, if we get past them, then it's anyone's cup really, isn't it? It's anyone's cup, and to win a trophy would be fantastic for the women's this season. So that'd be really good. Mais, Gaz said that you'd be really good on commentary. That's a very nice compliment. Very nice compliment.
Thank you, Gaz. Thanks so much, Gaz. Lovely to say.
And Andrew said, I went for 3-0, but now I'm edging to 4 or 5-0. We've also had a 6-0 prediction there as well.
Wow.
Now I'll get to you first. What's your score prediction for this game today? You didn't want to come first, did you? You did not want that. You were like, oh no.
No, I think 3-1. 3-1 United. I think I'm not confident on a clean sheet, I'm sorry, but I do think we will win it. And 3-1, I'm happy.
mate, for me, it's business end of the season. It's all about the points at this point. We just need to make sure we get the win. I don't care if it hits Harry Maguire off the arse and he comes on after a sub and he scores. I don't care how it happens, as long as we get the 3 points. That's the main thing, isn't it? Mais, what's your score prediction for this one?
I agree with Nat. I think it's going to be 3-1 to United. I'm not confident with a clean sheet. We've not had a clean sheet since the West Ham game, so it's been quite a few weeks since a clean sheet. And especially with the change of back four constantly, it's just no structure for the club. So I think we will concede, but I just don't think it'll be that many. So I think I am going to go for 3-1 as well. And in terms of the women's game, I'm going to go for a 1-0 for the United.
Love that. Nat, what's your prediction for the women's game?
2-1 United.
Both got United wins. I love that. Love the positivity. Right, time for me then, I guess. For the men's today, I'm gonna go for a reverse of the score. So 4-1 to United. True revenge. Reverse the score. 4-1 to United. I do think we'll concede, like you guys have said as well. It would be nice if we kept a clean sheet. And in terms of the women's, I think I'm gonna agree with you now. I think I'm gonna go for 2-1. I think it'll be tight. I'm hoping that we can just edge it. But yeah, girls, this has been a fantastic show. Thank you so much to both for joining me on this Saturday just for the game. I appreciate that. Guys, if you could just shout out, if I take this banner off so we can see your names, but just shout out where people can find you on socials as well. Mais, I'll start with you.
You can find me on my YouTube channel, which is Devils United. I do Manchester United content for both the men and the women's football. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the women's football and catch some more views about the men's game from myself, you can catch me through there. And my Twitter is at @2_MUFC Mais. Thanks for having me on, Soph. It's been a great stream.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. Safe journey to you, because I know you are in the car as well, bless you. And congratulations. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend you had an interview with Sky reporter Darmesh yesterday, didn't you? Which was a really interesting watch. So make sure you check that out over on Devils United as well. And of course, we've got the fantastic Nat. As always, an absolute pleasure to have you on, Nat. Let people know where they can find you as well.
Yeah, Natalie_17. I've got some new content potentially coming out soon. So definitely check out my Twitter and YouTube soon for that.
Definitely go and check out Nat. Again, a bit like Mais, a lot of content for the women's football as well as the men. Obviously, she's United through and through. But yeah, make sure you go and subscribe and follow all for United and Nat's socials as well. But yeah, guys, thank you. It's been a good one. Fingers crossed we do get 3 points today and 3 points tomorrow. Well, into the next round tomorrow. 2 wins, that's what we're hoping for. Plenty of goals for United, hopefully, as well. Enjoy the game. Have a lovely rest of your Saturday, and we will see you very, very soon.